I have today's forecast for you. Hot!
Lemons, racers, spectators, crew members, and assorted hangers-on. You folks may not have noticed, but it's pretty hot today.
Okay, we have just returned from the Arse-Sweat-Apalooza at Thunderhill.
Not me, actually. 4 days before this race started, I just got back from Chicago, where it was also sweaty, so screw that.
Man, it's too bad global warming is a hoax, because I'm over here sweating my balls off. Anyway, it was mildly warm. That resulted in a smaller field, because I think only the diehards were willing to come out for this. But it was a great race. There was a minor bit of controversy over one area of the track and what constituted the track limits and the edge of the pavement. And the reality is, we've been to Thunderhill a million times. At this point, we're really experienced race organizers, and there's a lot of science and thought that goes into this. I mean, it's not like we're sitting around talking about nothing.
And we get, he's like, you sure you want a pound? He's like, yeah, give me a pound. It was a trash bag. Because they don't weigh anything. There was literally, it was a trash bag full of chicharrones. It was like, they got washers and sheet metal screws. They were into the dash with these slices of pizza that just poured household deck varnish. Okay, if you're gonna make a 20-foot tall Richard Nixon sex robot, pretty much, if you have to choose a musical instrument to have him play, that would have to be the accordion.
All right, now Nick said the diehards, but there were sort of two groups. There was the super diehards, and then there was some rookies. There was the Lego Golf. There was the Dodge Neon SRT4. Now, let me just stop you right there.
$500 my ass.
Yeah. I was on the launch. I was on the press launch for the SRT4 Neon.
I too drove one.
Yes, let me just tell you, that is a car that has basically no power and then a lot of power, and it is all going through one crappy wheel that is barely attached to the car. It is the most undrivable, horrible piece of car you have ever seen, and frankly, I would not give you $50 for one of those.
You know what they do have? Carbon fiber print shift boot.
Yes, they do have carbon fiber. And in fact, on the launch, I pointed out to the guy, well, I don't know what's happening here, because I don't think that's carbon fiber, because it wouldn't be flexible, but it's not a shift boot either, because it's not just made out of vinyl. What's going on here? And they looked at me like this. What else was new?
Well, there was a new team that did a Lightning McQueen
an MR2
team out of an MR2. They were great.
That looked good.
Good. And there were a couple other rookies, but we were impressed with all the rookies that did show up.
So there you go. Nicely done, guys.
All right, Jesse Cortez and Team Licensed to Ill, they have the Boomin' Bass mini truck. You've seen it a bunch of times.
So great.
So he was browsing the internet for mini truck stuff. And
as one does.
And there's a picture of my own mini truck, and it was like a BuzzFeed article about the history of 80s and 90s mini trucks. But here's the thing, they used a picture of his mini truck that had a paint scheme that he never actually had. It was a Photoshop that he had done and posted on the internet saying like, hey, maybe I'll paint my truck like this. He never did, but they used it for this article as like, look at this is the prime example of what a mini truck should look like. But it never actually existed. So then Jesse thought, well, maybe I should actually do that. So in the week before the race, he got out a bunch of Krylon and he painted his truck like the Photoshop that was featured in the article. It was some crazy like fourth dimensional stuff, but that was hella sweet.
All right, another hella sweet thing. Nemo Money won this race overall. These are great guys. Well, they started out being horrible guys, but they got it really fast. They learned the Lemons deal. They've been really fun to have around. They got this Miata. It's not even a very GD Miata. It's kind of just a straight up Miata. Couple of great drivers on that team. We have been expecting them to win. They've come very close. They finally did it. Good job, guys.
Speaking of winning, let's talk about the Prius. Now we've had a couple of Priuses in Lemons, and this was actually a new team made up partially of dudes that were Tesla engineers.
Great Scott!
This was a almost dead stock Prius. They had done some things to the suspension, but that was about it. It still had drum brakes in the back. The powertrain was entirely stock. And of course, a car that new and that high tech gets put on the internet, and I thought this was supposed to be a race for $500 cars. I no longer have any interest, says the guy who has never been to a Lemons race.
Right, exactly. And has never actually been on a racetrack.
And then, it's just one of those, like, either the car is too new, or it's too fancy, or it's got too much power.
Right.
How many excuses can you possibly have for why you're losing to a Prius in a road race? Now, Steve did a great thing at the awards ceremony. The Prius came in 11th overall, and Steve says, all right, Raise your hand if you came in the top 10. Your teams raise your hand like, the rest of y'all lost to the Prius.
This is not a fast car.
No.
Doesn't matter how new it is.
Yeah.
It does not matter how much they paid for it. I mean, this is an incredibly slow car.
The numbers don't lie.
The numbers do not lie. This weighs about 48,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Top speed is about 68 miles an hour. Yeah. This is an incredibly slow car. So why were they 11th overall? Because racing is not a speed problem.
Right.
Racing is an organization problem. Well, what I always say is they had checklists.
Yeah.
They had little notes on their dashboard. Don't do this. Don't do this.
Yep.
Don't be a dick. Don't
Yep.
get a flag. Blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
That's all it takes.
Yeah. No, if these guys can do that in a Prius, they could also do it in a Bronco 2,
Yeah.
in a Messerschmitt,
Yep.
in a
Yep.
Chevy pickup truck,
Yep, exactly.
in a bus.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not the car, people.
Yeah. Heroic Fix went to our good buddies with Fiero Libre,
Yeah.
and I've always liked these guys.
Yeah.
They got the luchador masks.
Yeah.
They're really fun to have around. So they're clutch crapped out, and you know, on a normal car, you just do a clutch
Yeah,
job.
well,
I mean,
these
we've
guys,
all done it.
These
No big
guys
deal.
in a Corolla, Group B Tribute Racing, they did a clutch, and yeah, it was a pain in the
was
ass.
horrible, and it was hot, and-
but they fixed it in a reasonable amount of time, got back out of
got
the
your
track.
grease in your eyes and all that. I mean, that's what happens. But
Yeah.
on a Fiero, it is singularly impossible. You essentially have to take the entire car apart down to like the last 2 bolts and then build it all back up together.
Right.
And then when you're done, what have you got? A Fiero.
A Fiero.
So it's also dispiriting. So anyway, these poor guys had to suffer through it in the heat in their luchador mask, and we thought that deserved a trophy.
All right, so a little bit of backstory on I Got Screwed. This is Team Pink Panzer
Right.
and their Mercedes E430.
Right.
Now, these dudes work at a Mercedes shop. I think it might be a Mercedes dealership even.
Right.
And they called me, this is a year or two ago when they were first getting started in Lemons. They called me and they said, what if we were to maybe come across a V8 E-Class? Could we race that in your series? I'm like, yeah, no problem. And then they're like, clearly they thought they were getting away with it. Like, we were so stupid that we would allow this to happen and that they were going to dominate. Little did they know that we really knew what
exactly
the real
what was
story
happening.
Yeah. And sure enough, we were right. They showed up despite being Mercedes master technicians.
Yeah.
The car had every problem under the sun and it never ran. I'm not so confident that they have figured it out in the sense that, okay, we're over the hump and it's going to continue to be fine. Some other horrible thing is going to happen.
Right.
But everything was going great. Finally, we're going to realize our dream of domination. And then they got like a whole bunch of black flags and totally screwed up.
Yeah.
And they got screwed.
Yeah.
And normally we don't award the I Got Screwed trophy
To people who screw themselves.
Right, but these guys have done it so many times that I think they finally earned it. And they were so demoralized by their driving failure at the end of the race that they didn't even know they had won an award, and they packed up and they left without their fine I Got Screwed trophy, so we have it here. We can send it to you.
We're going to put that in a Boeing Strato Cruiser and we're going to fly it into Berlin for you.
That's right, and we're going to charge you for it.
Right, yeah, damn right.
Yeah.
Judges' choice went to Team Valiant Effort in What Else They're Valiant.
Yeah.
And this was sort of the Valiant Performance meeting of the year.
Yeah.
There were 2 road Valiants. There was a race Valiant. So incredibly slow. Almost as slow as the Prius, actually.
No, because here's a clip of it being passed by the Prius and the Jackalope simultaneously.
Well, that does give you an idea how slow it was. And anyway, fabulous to see that car. That was a new car, and thanks for bringing it out.
The special award was the Berkeleyest Car of 1962 award, which was admittedly a very specially crafted specific award to give poor Anton a trophy for finally bringing out his Volvo 544. Now, if you guys don't remember, Anton is like, I'm building a 544 Volvo. It's gonna be awesome. Gonna be the first ever 544. I'm gonna dominate.
But his plan was he was going to win C with it, and then a new motor, and then he was going to win B with it. I shouldn't say was. I should say future tense.
Yeah.
He will win C, and then he will win B, and then he will win A with his 544.
And so this whole rumor was circulating for some time, and then what wound up happening was some other team just
Who
showed
knew
up.
nothing about it.
And we didn't know they were coming. Just showed up in another 544. They dominated at Arizona earlier this year, won the IOE. They were the first 544. They won. Anton just totally got owned by these dudes. And so Anton finally showed up with his car. After some difficulty, it did run. But to add insult to injury, those same dudes with the other 544, the blue one, they were at Thunderhill Thunderhill 2, and they totally waxed Anton head to head for the second time, and it's, oh, dude.
And that just takes us to the IOE, the top award in lemons, and this went to Los Huevos Rancheros. Now, this is actually the second of these cars that this team has brought. The first one, they brought it out to Sonoma. It was going okay, and then they were totaled by a Corvette. However, they built an exact replica of that car, and they brought it out, and they have continued to not be great with it. But at this race, we really figured there's a Valiant, there's the Ranchero, and there's Anton's 544.
Yeah.
Whichever, it's a battle within a battle, and whichever one of those dominated that field, that was going to win the race. It was not even close.
No.
The Ranchero, and when it's not even close, and the car that dominates is a Ranchero, what does that say about the Valiant and Anton's Volvo?
Yeah.
But nevertheless, these guys, they pulled it out. I think they were pretty clean.
Yeah, they were totally clean. In fact, one of the issues that they had, we saw them towards the end of the race getting towed in. We're like, oh man, this could blow the IOE race wide open. And then all of a sudden they were back out again. Then we saw Jeff Frasca from their team said, hey man, what was up with that? Like, oh man, that was just a regular pit stop. It's like, your regular pit stop starts with you being towed off the track. Yeah. I guess that's just their system.
Yeah, well, whatever it is, it worked. So nicely done, guys. And now here's Lemons in a nutshell.
For spacious skies, or amber waves of grain, purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God send His grace on thee, and crown thy with broad hairwood from sea to Chinese.
Oh, beautiful, our heroes proved in liberating strife.
Even a bump start.
Who more than self their country loved.